for the monthly Pikes Peak Commission on Aging meeting. Madam Chair, we do have a quorum, and so we are ready for you to call the meeting to order and get us started. Thank you.
We'll start with introductions and welcomes, and we'll start with folks in the room. Kent, we'll start with you.
Hi. Kent Matthews. I put anything else?
No.
Okay.
Penny Whitney.
Bob Foster from Teller County.
Hi, Phil Stafford.
Paula Levy, Chair, and Melissa.
Melissa Martz with the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging.
And we'll go to those online, starting with Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer Horn with the Family Caregiver Support Center at the Area Agency on Aging.
Kathy.
Hi, Kathy Cirillo Smith, Vice Chair for now.
Kim.
Hello, Kim Nguyen. I am with USAA and also representing Silver Scaffold Storytellers and Advocates for Older Adults.
Great, welcome. And Dayton.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dayton Romero, Commissioner.
Steve.
Good afternoon, everybody. Steve Schleicher, Commissioner.
And Jody.
And welcome, everyone. Jody Barker, Director of the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging.
And we have one more that joined us in person. Great. Thank you, Erin. All right, everyone is here. We have a quorum. I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Kathy Smith, I move that we approve the agenda.
Thank you, Kathy. Is there a second?
Phil Stafford, second.
All in favor of the agenda being approved as presented, please say aye.
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 The ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Next is consent items. And that would be approval of our minutes from our meeting last month, October 15th. I need a motion for those minutes to be approved.
Kent Matthews, I move they be approved.
And I will second Kent Matthews.
Motion made by Kent, second by Aaron Nerzella. And hearing the motion has been made and second, is there anyone opposed to the minutes being approved as written? Hearing none, the motion is carried and minutes are approved. Next, we have public comment and presentations, and I believe we're bumping that up. Is that correct, Melissa? We're bumping up the regular item 6 up to this.
We're just going to do it after action items.
Okay, my bad. All right, so I don't believe we have any public comment. We don't see anyone in the room and I don't see anyone online, so moving right on to action items.
Chair, there are no action items for this meeting.
All right. Now we're on presentations. And we have ASA Aging on Aging Institute Summit presentation from Jennifer and Kim. And they are both online. So I will turn it over to the both of you.
Hello, everyone. So Jennifer, I work with family caregivers, but I also am a member with American Society on Aging, and they hosted their On Aging Institute Summit in Denver. Key takeaways that I was there with was a lot of workforce development, talking about how do we get the older adults back into the workforce, looking at how communities can collaborate and what that looks like for businesses. Also reminding people that the older adults aren't just going to available for the greeters at Walmart or Sam's Club. Like there's a lot of education, wisdom, and knowledge that they can offer. So remembering to include them in higher level decision making as well when talking about the workforce. And then because I have another meeting that follows right after this, I'm going to jump into what the ASA Rise Fellowship Program was or is. I was a part of the inaugural cohort in 2021 with ASA Rise. It is for BIPOC professional leaders in aging, getting us mentors, mentorship, presentations, meeting, learning how to advocate within the communities, within your organizations, policy levels. So it kind of goes from the grassroots communities all the way up to larger policy change, and just lots of more experience. And as Kent Matthews may know, because he was my supervisor during that time, it does give you a lot of confidence as an individual in the field of aging coming into this space and being able to advocate for your specific populations. And then now I'll just pass it over to Kim.
Thank you, Jennifer. So American Society on Aging Rise program, there have been 4 cohorts that have gone through. I'd say since the program began, about 80 people have completed the program. I think it's about 4 months long, in which we meet weekly and then we attend the American Society on Aging conference. I'm also a cohort ambassador, and what that means is just that I have raised my hand to ensure that the momentum that we made while we were in the program continues, and we organize different events and such to keep the alums informed, engaged. This year we are going to be doing more in-person things, and so we'll be planning one, for example, in the Denver area or somewhere in Colorado for those of us who are in Colorado, so that we can meet in person, because I think we all get tired of being online. Key takeaways for me in terms of attending On Aging Institute. First, I just love being in and surrounded by people who have a passion and care for older individuals. I was struck by some of the statistics that were shared, and I'm going to look at my notes, which one is that the longevity economy is approaching $9 trillion. I spoke to one of the keynote speakers, and I asked him about this because I think a lot of you in the room, online, have experiences where we have such passion about this space. We see the problems, we see the opportunities, but then we're met with business apathy. And so I talked to him about this, and I said, tell me more, because he's an entrepreneur, has established many businesses in this space, and he said it's up to us to tell the story in a way, like we have to understand why our messages, why the data is not resonating with people. And it's up to us to figure out what's important to them and how do we make it meaningful to them so that they can internalize it, strategize around it, come up with programs, et cetera, to support. But I just thought I'd share that with you all, as business owners, business leaders, and probably people who have encountered the same frustration that I have as well. I've been trying to make something happen in this space in my company for a couple years and haven't cracked the nut yet. But thank you for the time.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Jennifer or Kim?
So this is Melissa. I'm just going to comment a little bit more. I went up and attended the On Aging Institute as well, looking at kind of the collaborations that can happen between businesses and the aging sector, that longevity economy piece that was brought up. And I thought it was just really insightful and interesting to kind of share with people sitting on the Commission on Aging from the perspective of, each of the folks in this room have a business that you're running, that you're working on, that you're collaborating with other business folks, the Senior Resource Council, and just kind of recognizing that the American Society on Aging has invested in kind of putting this institute together and wanting to, kind of support and kind of rise up even more than they already have in the past, ways to cultivate, business and industry that can support older adults who want to have business and want to stay in the workforce, as well as industries that are going to support older adults. So it was really an interesting day to come together, and then also to be reminded about everything that RISE is about with both Jennifer and Kim. And so it was a good day. And Kim is actually, she's being presented as a potential member with the Commission on Aging. She was brought to our attention from the age-friendly Pikes Peak group. So stay tuned for more with Kim. So this was a fun way to introduce her today. And I think with that, I just wanted to remind folks that that was kind of part of the impetus to bring them kind of to the conversation today. Everyone in the room who's doing business, kind of supporting and bringing folks forward.
Thank you, Melissa. I wanted to add just two more things. One is that the On Aging conference is going to be in Atlanta next year, and so I think it's April. Is it April or March of next year?
April 20th to the 23rd.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. So there is, of course, a fee to attend, but it is a wonderful, wonderful conference where you will find yourself learning and surrounded by people who care about the same topics that you do. So that's one thing. Also, the RISE program is also open to people. There is an application process, and they have already filled the next cohort. But again, BIPOC leaders, it's open to people, and folks are selected from all across the country, just FYI. So just sharing that with you as well.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, we'll move on to information items, and we'll start with the membership committee.
Well, I can just comment. We have Erin in the room again today. But again, our next steps are working with Kim, kind of seeing where that goes next with Kim. And fortunately, we did do our orientations with Erin and Bob. So welcome, Erin and Bob, officially. And I think that's kind of all I have.
Okay, jurisdiction report updates.
I'll comment on that as well. Last month, there was a few more comments about it in the sense of just the reminder that we do have some folks who have been appointed from their jurisdictions, and our goal is to have you all present to your jurisdictions twice a year. So I think stay tuned for that. And hopefully in 2026, we can stick to that schedule and have the appointees presenting to their jurisdictions. Thank you.
How many jurisdictions do we need appointments for?
Oh, there's a lot more
There's
that
a
we
lot.
can use
Okay.
appointments for.
Okay.
Yeah. But the good news is we have a few that are appointed, so that's
Yes.
pretty exciting. So, but we still have more.
Great. And kudos to Erin for starting that process, because when I joined, there was no appointments necessary or needed or had. All right, next is the policy committee report. Oh, Steve or Phil with policy?
Steve, did you want to jump in on that?
No, in fact, I was just going to sit there and just share, Phil, that we've had some outstanding meetings, you know, in regards with Mr. Lord and things like that. So I think things are moving forward exceptionally well on the housing aspect. So
Very good. In our last meeting with David Lucas Killiman with Colorado Division on Housing and Department of Local Affairs talked just again the huge need of affordable housing. As you know, Steve's quite involved in Homestead Act. And then Amy Cox with the city presenting to City Council on December 8th is one of the updates that came from that meeting.
All right, great. Thank you for that. Now we move on to the Colorado Center for Aging.
I don't have any updates from them right
Okay.
now.
Awesome. And now we're to PPACG Legislative Committee. And here comes Jared.
All righty. Good afternoon, everyone. Jared Werner, Public Policy and Communications at PPACG. Starting on the state side first, we did have the Board of Directors did have its annual legislative roundtable earlier this morning. We had 8 legislators attend, which I think is unofficially a new record in terms of in person. But we were very excited for that. A lot of good discussion, a lot of good awareness of PPACG, which we're really excited for heading into the 2026 General Assembly. Looking at kind of what's happening at the state level right now, the Joint Budget Committee is meeting right now. They got their initial budget presentation from the governor's office last Wednesday, and then since then have been meeting almost daily, getting staff updates regarding various projects and programs. I believe CDHS will be on deck on Friday. And what this first step is just Joint Budget Committee staff hearing just some general themes, some general outlooks for 2026-27, and then the directors and their senior staff will do their presentations next month. So it is the start of a very long state budget process. The governor's proposal came out, what is October 31? It was due November 1st. So October 31. One of the biggest pieces of that regarding aging services was this, the governor has proposed funding these homestead exemption, but to do that, it will be through the sale of what's called Pinnacle Assurance. And there is some concern on both sides of the aisle, quite honestly, on what that would look like. Pinnacle would be a one-time supplement to the state budget. They're expecting that to pull in roughly $400 million. I've heard that that's a relatively conservative estimate. So it could be more, but roughly just under 200 million of that would go to the senior homestead tax exemption. So still a lot of moving pieces on that. Historically, that is funded through the TABOR process. There is not expected to be a TABOR surplus this upcoming budget season. So that is how the governor has proposed funding that particular line item. I will say that, especially from this morning, and we've heard it several times, legislators on both sides of the aisle want that funded. At this point, how it's funded is an open question. Our position as the Commission on Aging has adopted is that we want that to be a permanent funded solution, not part of the TABOR refund process. Where that money comes from is still an open discussion. So that's what's happening at the state side. On the federal side, the federal government shutdown ended last Wednesday, a week ago, roughly, through a continuing resolution process. The Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging was not directly impacted by that shutdown. We were able to maintain our operations really without any impact. And so looking forward, this continuing resolution that was adopted takes us through January 30th in terms of funding. Yeah, January 30th. In the process, so if you're not familiar with the federal versus state budget process, state it's one bill, the long bill, plus several orbital bills is what they call it, but there's one appropriations bill, one budget bill. At the federal side, there's 12. As part of that continuing resolution that passed last week, 3 of those 12 appropriations bills went forward. So If for some reason the federal government cannot come to agreement by January 30th, the agencies funded by those 3 bills will continue as normal. And that's when we get into the complete versus partial government shutdown labels. Those 3 bills cover the agriculture department, which in terms of what we would be impacting, that would cover SNAP benefits. So come January 30th, if they can't come to a resolution, at least agriculture and SNAP would be funded. The legislative branch would also be funded, so that would allow staff members who work in congressional offices continue to get their paychecks, as well as the military, construction, and veterans affairs budget appropriation. So those are the 3 bills that have gone through. Still leaves 9 that would be susceptible to funding lapse if January 30th rolls around. We are hearing that 4 to 5 bills are kind of next on deck to get across the appropriations finish line. One of them is the HELP bill, and because it's Congress, they love their abbreviations, HELP standing for Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. But HHS and ACL, basically where our funding source comes from is part of the HHS budget. That's part of that HELP bill. That is one of the 4 to 5 bills I keep hearing that they're going to try to push forward next. Again, a government shutdown really doesn't impact our operations a whole lot. However, if we are fully funded and we are appropriated come January 30th, we don't have to worry about it in terms of our operations. One of those other 4 to 5 bills is also the THUD bill. That's the Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development bill. That would cover our 2 programs at PPACG. And I keep hearing other bills as well. But we're excited for kind of that movement there. The HHS bill has gone through both the Chamber's appropriations committees, but have not gone forward for a floor vote. And then once each chamber passes it on the floor, then it will go to conference to reconcile the differences and ideally pass a agreed upon budget. I think that's it. At least that's all I can think of. The next month, like I said, it's going to be dominated primarily by budget, JBC Joint Budget Committee hearings at the state, and the appropriations process in Congress. Happy to answer any questions. There is leftover coffee from this morning. If I have bored everyone to sleep, I get it. Budget is not exactly the most thrilling of topics. There's also cookies. That's right. Aaron brought cookies.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. All right. Next is the Colorado Commission on Aging update. That's Penny.
This is Penny Whitney. Excuse me, good grief. The leadership for the Colorado Commission on Aging has shifted from Chad Federitz, who has been the chair, to Joey Glenn. And some of you will recognize Joey Glenn as an individual that Aaron actually invited to meet the PPCOA and communicate the work with the senior games. So that same Joey is now the chair of the Colorado Commission on Aging. And there are probably 4 things that it's important for us to know. First of all, that as the commission goes forward and continues to broaden the scope of impact, they are looking at having a lot more interaction directly with state regions. And so that will look like probably updates during the meeting about what's going on in the regions that commissioners, I represent El Paso County. So it would be incumbent on me to update the commission on important things that we're doing here. Also, that they want active feedback and participation. And the vehicle for that are the 5 working committees that actually track to the MPA, or the multi-sector plan on aging, which is that 10-year big picture. What will the state do to focus on aging? And we're pretty well represented right now, actually. The age-friendly group, I attend those meetings, and Kim you met through the previous presentation, actually sits on that as a representative of Colorado Springs. So having, if she joins the commission, that would be a double voice on that particular committee. Penny from Park County actively engages in the Health Committee, which is a combination of health and mental health, and she is a very valuable contributor. Then they're adding a new committee focusing on long-term care services and supports. And Carolyn, a member of our commission, with her history of work in the long-term care sector, has agreed to serve on that committee. The other committee that will be added that is a new committee is an economic focused committee looking at really what's the role of economic security for older Coloradans. That is a new committee and we do not have a representative. So if economic stability is an area of interest, that probably would be a really important working group for the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging to be a part of. So the other thing, and again, Aaron sort of brought the focus to us early in the summer, was the senior games. And Joey is continuing to be very, very involved and supportive of the senior games in our community. And so Carolyn, a member of our commission, is going to be actively involved. And in talking with both Carolyn and Joy, this could be an opportunity to engage young people through the JAWS program, or just maybe other young people, into actively supporting and communicating the senior games that are scheduled to take place again next summer. So from a state lens, these are opportunities for our local group to continue to have a voice and a presence at the state table. So let us know if there is a working group that you would like to be a part of.
Great. And I also know the gentleman who chairs or heads up, he will head up the senior games from Sports Corps. And so he is a longtime family friend. I ran into him at a hockey game and he said, I need to get with you because he knows the connection. And so he is the main guy at Sports Corps for the senior games. So
that's terrific.
Yep.
And Melissa really sort of spearheaded the volunteer efforts. So I think that Joey was really very excited from a Commission on Aging standpoint, the leadership that the Pikes Peak Commission had taken and the opportunities to really grow the participation. And
Right.
certainly knowing the key guy
Yep.
is not.
And I'm not sure of his position, but his name is Evan Owen. Evan Owen. Okay, great. Next, Jody, you're up with the Board of Directors items.
Thank you. Yes, this most recent Board of Directors meeting, really end of the year planning, along with some ongoing transportation planning updates for the long-term plans. But the budget was approved and passed at this most recent board meeting for the January 1, 2026 beginning of the year. And so also a variety of work plans were presented previously and passed as well. And these help drive the focus of each department and grant within the PPACG structure. For us within Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging, it's continued collaboration around the community, finding opportunities for outreach and continued growth of our programs. All the while making sure that we're continuing to follow our strategic plan, which is, as you all know, in our structure, it's called the 4-year area plan. And so next year, we shared that the 4-year area plan will begin again. That is due to the state in March of 2027. And as far as we're concerned, it's not too early to begin, even though we're still waiting on our formal directive from the state, which we expect in February. But it is about a 12 to 15 month process. And so this is the opportunity where we go out to communities. We have what are called community conversations, and we listen to those in across the 3 county areas. By the Older Americans Act, we're required, because we have 3 counties, to have 3 meetings. Last year, very proud to say, and kudos to Melissa, who led the charge on much of this. We hosted 32 community conversations. It allowed us to get a really broad perspective across the communities, across the 3 counties, across the towns and communities that we really ultimately serve. I'm really proud to say that we have a very deep experience within our staff here at PPACG and Area Agency on Aging. But it would not be fair to our constituents and for planning purposes to sit down and dream up what the needs are. We have this opportunity through the community conversations to go out and hear what those challenges are in those very specific communities. And as usual, and I'm sure Phil and Steve, you're hearing this in your conversations, especially since you're meeting with David Lord. Transportation, nutrition, and housing, they continue to be the top. But the beauty of having these community conversations as part of this 4-year plan, and that building into our report and our ongoing planning, is the nuances from community to community and what that truly means for them. And so that process will start up here very soon. The other area, I'll merge a little bit into the Area Agency on Aging. Right now, we are in our RFP, our request for proposal review process. The application process ended on Friday. We have all of our current providers, as well as 3 new providers who have applied for funding. And so we'll be reviewing that first amongst staff. And then we draw in our technical review subcommittee members of our Regional Advisory Council to come up with a final planning. Our goal is to bring that before the board of directors in January so that we can move forward with our contracting process and be on time for a July 1 fiscal year start date. We do follow the state fiscal year in this process. So you all are aware, Jared was very eloquent in the process previously about the closures and the concerns around the SNAP benefits not being added to those recipients' cards. The challenges there, and so many times people assume that the Area Agency on Aging has some sort of power that I wish we had, but we don't, about how we can make that change. However, within the structure that we do have, we were able to distribute some carryover funding specifically within nutrition programs and some unallocated funds specifically set aside for nutrition programs. We went ahead and distributed those sooner than we normally would so that our providers could have those funds on hand and meet the needs and the anticipated needs sooner rather than later. And so we're very proud to be proactive in that way to make sure that if folks were going without, we could minimize that and our providers could meet those needs sooner rather than later. So that took place pretty quickly in October as we knew we were coming to the we didn't know we were coming to the end of the shutdown, but really the big concerns around SNAP benefits and how that was going to affect our older adults across the community. So very proud of that. On the other hand, from that, do know that we received less funding this year in this current fiscal year than we did last year. And so it's the equivalent of about $104,000 It doesn't sound like a whole lot. We plan very carefully and we budget very carefully. We were able to manage that drop in funding. All of our providers were able to be funded at the same rate in the second year of their contract as they were the first year of their contract. But at the end of the day, it's not the right direction for funding. At the end of the day, I would love to, we always want more funding. We know we can use more funding and we can meet more needs with more funding. But we're going to be starting our budget planning with that lower number this year because we just don't know how our state and federal process are going to go. We'll have our final numbers probably April or May, and the process that we have built into our system allows us to continue moving forward with the contract process so that when we get the final numbers in the spring, we'll be ready for contract process July 1. So the last thing I want to share is that we had received a request from Paula and Melissa to allow an annual report from the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging, and so you all are tentatively on the schedule for the Board of Directors in February. That can move to March if you feel you're not ready for that. But I do have you on the calendar to present before the Board of Directors. Dayton and who else has presented in the past? Oh, Paula, that's right. Right here. Yeah, Paula and Dayton have presented. Yeah. So that's just a kind of an annual report format from the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging to the PPACG Board of Directors. So we have you on the calendar. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Jody. That's a lot of information, and that's the earliest we've been on that agenda. That's great. All right, chair report. I think last meeting I talked about how this commission is out in the community, and again this past month, I know, like Melissa said, a lot of the commissioners have their own businesses and are out and doing their own thing, but at the holiday dinner dance, which was just a couple weekends ago, there were several commissioners representing their own or just volunteering on their own, helping that event go off. It was just amazing. And I can't remember how many people that attended. Kent, can you? 10.
Hey, Ken, can I interrupt and ask you to turn your microphone on?
Sorry. So there were, it was 48 tables, 8 at a table. Subtract, I don't know how many, because there were some tables that didn't have full representation. Area agency, out of their 8, had 3, or no, it was 4 out of the 8. So there were some tables that weren't completely full, but it was a good number.
Yeah.
It was a really good number.
And honestly, some of our commissioners, Kent, you could have filled a space at that table, honestly, if you wanted, right? Just kidding. A lot of us could have. And Kathy, I know I saw Kathy there. And it just was a really, really great event. So I think that's neat to see the commissioners out and interfacing, and another spot that Kent and Penny and another board member of A Place Like Home were present at was the community meeting for Meadows Park. Attended that, and that was several weeks ago, and that was very well attended by the community. Kelly Bull was there from Hey Neighbor, and lots of information shared, lots of information documented, and still waiting to hear what the next steps are. There was supposed to be a solutions committee coming out of that, and seeing what exactly the plan is. A lot of people saying that meeting should have happened prior to the closing. There were some very, very angry neighbors in that meeting, But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. The mayor was there, as was Nancy Henjum and Kimberly Gold, as far as council representation, and that's not even their jurisdiction. So Nancy, where they're seniors, you'll find Nancy Henjum, right? So anyway, that's my chair report.
Paula, would you want to talk a little bit about kind of our open chair position?
Sure.
And kind of remind everybody of some of the roles and responsibilities and all of that as we have to look at new chair positions coming up in January.
Sure. And remind me, did we talk about 2-year positions or just 1-year positions? Or is that another board I sit on?
I don't remember.
Okay. All right. Because I'm finishing my first year. Is that correct? Okay. So we have some officer positions that will be coming open, and executive committee positions also that will be coming open. The chair position will be open starting in January, and the vice chair will also be open. And more membership, because Aaron is leaving us. So we have those 3 positions open. The chair, I will just read some of the duties of the officers. The chair presides at all meetings of the commission, assures effective, efficient, and timely conduct of the commission's meetings, works closely and coordinates with the assigned PPACG staff liaison person, which is Melissa, who is amazing, on developing annual objectives and of the commission to be communicated to and approved by the board of directors. Appoint all chairpersons of subcommittees, serve as the ex officio non-voting member of all subcommittees. Just basically runs the meeting and attends the board of director meetings when possible, if requested by the board's chair. In addition, in absence of the chairperson or in the event of his or her inability to act, or if the office is vacant, the vice chair shall perform all duties of the chairperson when so acting shall have all powers and be subjected to all restrictions of the chairperson. Similarly, in the absence of both chairperson and the vice chair, the membership chair shall perform the duties and have all powers of the chairperson. So those 3 offices are really the top 3 positions that will run the commission if needed. So not in the bylaws, but additional executive role duties as identified by the executive committee. And the executive committee has been meeting the first Wednesday of the month. And it's usually the chair, the vice chair, and the membership chair, although anybody on the commission is welcome to attend that meeting. But it's at that meeting where this agenda is set, and items to be discussed are discussed there, so that we bring to this meeting. So the chair leads the executive committee meeting, liaison with Jody, Andy, Melissa, and other community groups, brings issues to the PPCOA, keeps vision and mission alive, monitors attendance and supports work groups. The vice chair attends the executive committee, supports work groups, and has a presence at community events. The membership chair attends executive committee, supports recruitment, liaison with Melissa, Jody, and supports new members into work group selections and support appointee efforts. And so with that being said, we had kind of picked people or named people into positions months ago, and it was months ago when we had slim pickings for people. And now our commission is thriving with lots of new faces, and I think we decided at the last executive meeting, to just open it up to see if there are people who have been now on the commission for several months, to see if there's anyone open or interested in taking one of those positions, or putting your name in the hat to serve as chair, vice chair, or membership. And don't all speak at once.
And we don't expect a commitment today, just so you know. But do let us know if you were interested in that. So,
And Melissa can get you a copy of what I just read. So, and you can talk to the people who have sat in those positions. Dayton is a former chair. You can talk to me. Kathy is vice chair. Aaron's been the executive membership person, and I was membership for a while also. So if you have any questions, you can ask any of us or email any of us. And don't be afraid. Kent, go ahead. Penny, do you have a question?
I do have a question. What is the term? I think it's not. Oh, well, I don't know. Yeah, pick one. What's the term of each office? Is that, if you would say, yes, I'm interested, is that a year commitment, a 2-year to be determined? How does it go?
That was what Paula was kind of double checking and asking about. Typically, it's been a year, but there are opportunities for it to be 2 years. Like Kathy could serve vice chair for 2 years. And I will double check and read the bylaws. I'm almost positive when we had our meeting that people can serve it for 2 years. Really, it's up to the Commission on Aging and people voting. And so, having the opportunity to present a slate of officers and the commissioners to vote on it. And if folks want, people to serve a second term, great. And again, as with most boards, the individuals in those roles have to want to serve 2 years. And oftentimes they end up doing that. But I just don't remember what we saw in the bylaws. I apologize, but
Dayton, can you help remember? Because I thought we talked about it, and maybe I'm thinking of, again, a dream or another board, but talking about, because once the person, you get to the first year and it's wrapping up, and I kind of know what I'm doing at this point after 11 months. So Dayton, did we talk about doing a 2-year stint? I can't remember, but maybe you can.
I don't recall either, Paula. I think it might have come up in an executive meeting, but I don't know if we ever sort of codified it or getting it documented.
yeah, for all of our committees, it's generally 1 year with the option for a second, if the person is interested and or the need arises. So.
All right. All right, so go home and sleep on it and think about it and ask questions. And will we discuss it at the next meeting, or will we need names at the next meeting, Melissa?
it would be nice to have some names. It's possible you could even vote at the December meeting. So then January's meeting kicks off with the new leadership, but also January can begin with just the voting and changing over January 1 or, January 15th, whatever day the Commission on Aging meeting falls.
So do we want names prior to December, or how do you want that?
I think if we can have some names presented between now and when we meet in December, it would be great. So for people to be thinking about it and reach out to Paula, myself, that would be ideal, because then we can talk more about it at the December meeting and see what people think.
Great. All right. Next is item 8, working sessions, and the first group is creating age-friendly housing and transportation. That would be Phil and Steve.
I'm not seeing Steve's mic go on. So I briefly mentioned that we did meet with David and had a Zoom call. I mentioned of Lucas mentioning the huge need of affordable housing. One double strain is with the SNAP benefits going away and food versus housing. It's even more of a strain on housing. So it's kind of complemented things. With Courtney Brown leaving, Thomas Thompson has jumped in and is now community outreach for the mayor. And then there was discussion of the possibility of Hey Neighbor, and Penny's name came up. Our next meeting will be January 15th. Penny, did you want to expand on the Hey Neighbor?
Communication with Hey Neighbor. They have been, Kathy was the one that introduced Marilyn to the commission's activity with the Circle Drive adult trailer or adult mobile home park. And last month we had presentations from 2 in Hey Neighbor, and I think I spoke with them in terms of age-friendly work, and I know that they are eager to be involved. And the neighborhood nexus is really an important part, I think, certainly of the social connections, and to be working collaboratively with a neighbor could be a real benefit. So I think there's huge opportunity there. And probably building on what Phil said at the age-friendly meeting, and certainly it's open to anyone, Thomas Thompson will be doing an update presentation in January. And I will ask that everyone here gets an invitation to see how the city's priorities are aligning with not only age-friendly work, but I'm sure it will probably complement the commission's work also. And then the March meeting is tentatively slated to have Kelly Bull attend and do a big picture overview of Hey Neighbor and the neighborhood initiatives that they're supporting. So I think just as a matter of information, shared information, would it be okay if I added the members of the commission to the steering committee information for age friendly? Okay. If there are any objections, let me know. It's an online meeting, so it's not a travel concern, but I do think the collaboration and sort of knowing what's going on could be a benefit. Thanks, Phil.
That's great. Thank you, Penny.
I'm going to interrupt just for a second, because as we're talking, we have 2 new members, Bob and Aaron. And when we did our orientation, Bob had indicated that he was interested in housing and transportation. So I need to circle up and get Bob connected with Phil and Steve and kind of talking about that a little bit. And that's going to change up the meetings a little because he is, Teller County. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of evolves. So I've written myself a note, a reminder, and Aaron had indicated, I think social engagement was your interest. So just a nice reminder that we need to circle up on those. So stay tuned.
Great. Thank you. The next is strengthening caregiver supports and services. Carolyn leads up that group, but is anybody in that group that has a report? I know they're not meeting tomorrow because Carolyn's out of town. Kent, do you have any report? No?
No.
Okay.
I did see a picture that she took of being in the airport traveling. I did see that.
Okay, great. All right, we'll move on to promoting social engagement and inclusion. And Kathy, I know there's been follow-up meetings and notes, and what do you have to share with us?
Well, yeah, there was a follow-up, and basically we went to get some feedback and also to see how things had changed as far as engagement went. So while we were there, they were having a potluck, which was nice. And they also said that they wanted us to, come back and do karaoke and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, you guys can do it without us. So they're going to work on that, and then we'll check back in with them in a couple months. And they did say that the ice cream social helps start them talking about it. And even though everyone that was there wasn't at the ice cream social, they all knew about it. and had been talking about it, so that's a good sign too. So our next, we're gonna try to take on some new places, and we need to reset our meeting time and date. But we'll worry about that in the future, the not too distant future. So
Great,
we'll
thank
just
you,
have
Kathy.
to- Yeah.
Do you have anything, Penny, do you have anything to add?
I actually do. The Circle Drive Adult Park is right across from Harrison High School. And we have, with the JAWS program, very active participation from Harrison High School students. And they want to do, Kathy, they want to collaborate with your project team and do a project with the residents at the Circle Drive mobile home park. So after the first of the year, probably, there will be an opportunity to collaborate with some Harrison High School students to see what we can do. But a lot of activity and interest from Harrison School District to support the work you're doing.
That'll be great.
All right, discussion items. We're on to item, oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of things. Penny, we heard this morning that Senator Snyder has been appointed to that Economic Commission on the Colorado Commission on Aging. And you know, interestingly, he asked if we'd heard of it. So I was happy to share that, why, yes, we had heard of it, and we are deeply, deeply involved. And, you know, as a former Commission on Aging member, and then, of course, having you and Penny and others represent us over the years as well. So, so he was pleased to hear that. So,
and I think that Jody, and thank you for that update, because he is one of the legislative members that regularly attends the commission, the Colorado Commission on Aging, and the fact that he is our local legislator, I think, gives a huge opportunity for us to effectively communicate. So that's really good news.
yeah, that was exciting to hear. The other thing, some of you have already picked this up. The new Yellow Book came out on Friday, and so we have a little stack there, but we have plenty of boxes to load your cars before you leave. So let us know if you'd like some help with that. It's an assumption. It's not an ask. So, but we're very happy to get those out to you. We have 20,000 books. We'd love to send some home with you tonight. So.
Great, thanks, Jody. I'll take a couple boxes. All right, next are member entity announcements. Does anybody have anything to share?
One of the things that I am currently doing, this is Penny again, is facilitating the professional advanced certificate program in gerontology. And actually, Jody did the presentation for this group. It is a non-credit certificate program that has been a part of the UCCS community offering for many years from the gerontology department at UCCS. The program is designed for professionals now across the state that have roles that directly interface with older adults, but don't necessarily have a lot of background in working with older adults. So it's a 2-semester program. You can start either semester, and I will, the flyer for registration for the spring semester, which follows an academic year, so it will begin mid-January. I will send the flyer to you, and if you know of organizations, individuals that might be interested in attending this. I have not been a part of the program before. I must tell you, it is fascinating information. And the hour and a half last night that Jody spent introducing people from across the state to the role of AAA was fascinating. Some of these people had worked in particularly adult protective services, and they said, we did not know about all of the resource availability through our AAA programs across the state. So I would just like to keep you apprised of that program and ask you if you could help in distributing information as a recruitment tool, because it is a very valuable and it's a way to bring additional awareness to this growing sector of aging services.
From Teller County, because of the SNAP problems that we had, government actually did something in Teller County that I had never seen before, and that the county commissioners, especially Dan Williams and Eric Stone, took the lead on coordinated everybody within Teller County on the as far as the loss of SNAP, and they put in an informal organization with the community center in Woodland Park being the lead organization, and they had newspaper articles, and they made sure that the word was put out from Cripple Creek to Flores and all the way to Cascade and et cetera. They went out and they requested funds, and we got funds from El Pomar, and we got the county commissioners found something that they didn't think they had, and they put money in and et cetera. And they also got a community awareness and held 4 community at the various food places, Walmart, Safeway, and City Market. And I won't say we have an abundance of food and money, but we have an abundance of food and money, and it was coordinated. The mayor of Woodland Park was, Kelly was all part of that, but they coordinated everybody. So instead of everybody doing their own thing, they had storehouses. They found people where they could store food, where they could do all this stuff, where everybody was supposed to go, where money was supposed to go. So it all went to one place, et cetera. It was fun to watch government actually work. And so that was interesting to me, being new to all this, et cetera, that they saw a need and they actually did something about it. And there could be people who did not have food, but because there's really only one major food bank and then 3 smaller food banks, so one in Divide, but the one in Woodland Park's the largest, and then Divide, and then they have Florissant, and a lot of people have some pantries, but they don't have a food bank. And so, but it was nice to get everybody together, and they pooled, and the county commissioners went around to all the food banks and pantries, and they brought food themselves and brought it in the city and really publicized it. So anyway, that was something nice to see. And we are, the Teller County Senior is, we put we had a match from one of our board members. And so with the less funding that we are getting from CDOT on our transportation. And so we need to replace one of our smaller cars, not one of the buses or the big vans, et cetera. But we put out that we'd like to raise $45,000, and we had a match up to 10, and we're over. We got the 10, and so we're at 20, so we're about halfway there. And we'd never done anything like this before. We'd never especially at the end of the year. And so that's also fun to see what's going on.
Thank you, Bob. That's a great report from Teller County. And I just have to say, I do a caregiver support group up there, and I have since '99. And the caregiver need for support is tremendous up there. My group went from about 3 people to 17 people in one support group. And we now meet for a couple hours because people need support, and they need, and it's people who have their person at home, people who have their person in a care community, people who are caregiving across the country. So there are caregiver needs up there big time. So just wanted to share that with you. Bill, you have anything? Aaron, welcome. Have anything?
Some things that are going on at the Silver Key Activity Center and Monument. So one of the things Silver Key's been doing is to try to expand the transportation that's going on out there. And so we're getting transportation to people, not just for medical reasons, but for recreational reasons, which is really great for social engagement. One of the things that we're starting on Christmas is we have a couple buses that are going to be taking the seniors to Christmas lights around town, and having a social engagement at the church there, because as you know, we're in a church that a few months ago. So we've been doing a lot of different partnerships with the church and seeing ways that we can work together. And caregiver support is on our agenda to offer next year. And we've also been working with Monumental Impact, which is a local nonprofit, and getting some intergenerational connections going. They do a lot of training for young adults getting into the workforce for technology. So 3D printing, working with AI, and they really want to get members at the activity center integrated into their into what they're doing to get their workforce knowledge and bring it to young adults that are going into the workforce. So we've had them at the center doing 3D printing and showing what that does and how they can create products that helps them live day to day, and giving some input on some of those products that would help them, and kind of giving that feedback to some of the students that are using the 3D printer. So it's been an interesting partnership to see how we can work together. I really love that they're looking to our members for support and for volunteering for what they're doing. And that is part of the vision of having that activity center that's going to be intergenerational, that's going to be built down the line. So those are just some exciting things we've had going on at the activity center to get people engaged.
That's great. How many participants do you have on a given day at the center?
Oh gosh, it depends on the day. I mean, we have about 400-ish active throughout the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
What's the name of that monument? What is it?
So it's the Silver Key Tri-Lakes Activity Center. So it was the senior center, but now we've changed it to the activity center. So we changed the name.
But the group you're working with, what are they?
Oh, Monumental Impact.
Monumental Impact.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that a career and technical education
Yes.
center?
Yes, they're nonprofit, but it is what they're doing, is that they do education for young adults getting into the workforce.
Why do they only do young adults?
Well, yeah, it's a great question, but that part of it is that they want to bring older adults to help train and give the younger adults some of that career knowledge and helping them get into the workforce. But they also want to get them involved in 3D printing and show them what is involved in that. So it's really an integration on both fronts to have them exposure to the technology and also influencing what's being made.
Cool.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And if I may say one other thing,
Sure.
her comments. We at the Teller County Senior have been running bus routes from Deckers into Woodland, from Cripple Creek, from Lake George, and all the way down from Cascade, but bringing them all in to do shopping and post office and library and all the stuff. And we just approved as the board of directors that next year we're going to start running buses from Woodland Park and then we'll coordinate down to Colorado Springs. And so that's a big step, and we're probably using some of our reserves to get it going, because I'm not sure CDOT has the money, or they said they did, but they didn't. But we're gonna do it anyway for the first 6 months out of our own pocket and see if we can get reimbursed later.
That's great. That is super. Thank you. Erin, did you have anything? No?
No, just that this has been wonderful. This was really an introduction to me, for me into the impact of government. You know, Bob, you were saying, wow, look at government work. And I tell all my friends, you know, all my colleagues, when they, you know, when people feel frustrated with whatever's going on, you know, in government and politics, you know, we're living in interesting times. And I'm like, well, if you want to feel like you're doing something impactful, I recommend you look up your local council of government. And everyone's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, let me introduce you to that. And I promise you that there's a seat open that you can show up and that you can serve. And I have inspired my brother. I inspired my first friend from the first day of kindergarten. One lives in Wisconsin, one's in Michigan. But I really believe in this as a pathway to change and to getting our voices heard in our communities and doing good work. So it's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Well, as the wife of a former mayor, I know well about making a difference and getting involved with both feet and arms and legs and all of it. So go ahead, Melissa.
So when Aaron E. was talking, I just want to share an update a little bit about the podcast recordings that happen through the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging. So Aging with Altitude. And so for the October recording, of course, we had Steve and Chuck Browerman presenting to the Pikes Peak Elder Abuse Coalition. That was recorded live, and that podcast just went live 2 days ago. I haven't even forwarded it to Steve and Chuck to let them know that. So that's out there and available, sharing the information about housing resources that we have in our region for not just older adults, but other people as well. And then for the month of December, when we release December's podcasts, I'm recording those now. And so I just recorded one with Terry Cassidy about older drivers, because December is Older Drivers Month. Or Older Drivers Week, the beginning. And so Terry recorded and, you know, kind of talked about, you know, ways to, you know, better support and transition folks with driving. And it was great. And then next week I'm recording with Erin E. and another woman in town who actually does training with people who are over 60. So, you know, physical activity training, the reminder of, you know, how to stay active, how to keep moving, you know, tying that to being a safe driver. You know, it's important to be able to keep moving so that you can have quick response times and, you know, turn your head and see things, but also so many other reasons to kind of stay active. And so Erin and another woman will be interviewing with me tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but next week, a week from Tuesday. And then those will go live in December. So stay tuned for those. And thank you to Erin. And of course, thank you to Steve and others that have contributed to all those podcast recordings. So, and I see Steve put his hand up. So maybe he.
Yes, Steve.
Hi, guys. So Melissa, I just wanted to say thank you, because this face is made for radio and not TV. So I appreciate you.
I feel like that beard is made for TV.
Melissa, can you remind the group and maybe include it in the email where we can find that podcast?
I'll send out the podcast, because I have the link now for the one that Steve and Chuck did.
Okay.
And I'll email that out to everybody, along with a few other things that have to be emailed out today too. So
that would be great.
Yeah.
Super.
And then speaking of kind of driving, I do have a handout over here, because at the Pikes Peak Library District on December 4th, Terry Cassidy is doing a talk on older drivers at Library 21C at 11 o'clock. So I do have a flyer about that as well. So take one and share it with anyone who wants to try to figure out what they can do to continue to drive, or if they want to encourage someone else to think about taking steps to know how to continue driving, or maybe kind of step back a little bit. So, and for those who don't know who I'm talking about when I mentioned Terry Cassidy, I apologize for that. Terry Cassidy runs a company called Fit to Drive and Health Promotion Partners, and she is kind of the guru in the community for really walking older adults and their caregivers, just older adults themselves, other individuals who need to know whether or not they can really be out driving. She has a car, people drive, she's an OT, she has other occupational therapists working for her, and she actually has multiple locations up and down the Front Range now that she's doing this. So that's Terry. And Terry was at the ASA Jing event a couple weeks ago too. So as a business professional supporting older adults with business.
Great.
And I'm wondering if Dayton has anything updated. I will preface that by AARP was here in town over the weekend on Saturday. They were showing a film on caregiving at the senior center. It was really impactful and good. And I don't know if anyone else has coined this term, Paula, of dementia porn. You know, people started talking about disaster porn. And after watching this video the other day, I just thought, oh, I feel so much better watching someone else going through dementia disasters. And anyway, it was a really good film. And I don't know if Dayton wants to give any updates about AARP.
I don't have any to give. So thanks for sharing this weekend's event, Melissa.
Is that a film you could get a link to, Dayton?
I don't know. I'm happy to put a line out and see if we could get it.
That would be great. Thanks. And I have heard of chainsaw porn, but not dementia porn. Just throwing that out there. Okay. Anybody else have any announcements? No? All right. Our next meeting is scheduled for December 17th. I believe last year we had people bring some holiday goodies to share, I think. We shared before or after. If we want to do that again, we can plan on doing that. And executive committee meeting is virtual, and we meet the first Wednesday of the month at 9. And we can put that out to the group, that link out to the group. It's a Teams link. The policy committee meetings are determined, are already set. The working groups usually have set day and time. I know social engagement is going to be finding a new day and time. And do we have any items that we want for sure to be on our agenda for next month's meeting besides filling officers? No? All right. Well, then this meeting is adjourned.